In the past 2 years, major handle factories have joined the rolling brigade. Crazy repeated jumps between polishing products and price wars. Although many handles have their own highlights and advantages, but many of them also use some more advanced means. In the continuation of the old way, among them, there is no exception to the system. Students who are familiar with the non-system should know that in addition to some co-branded models, almost every new product of their family brings a little new technology to the entire industry. For example, the roulette action key of Octopus 2, the force reversal trigger of Octopus 3, as well as the force adjustment of the Octopus 4, the alloy rocker, and much more. In addition to personal polishing products, innovative research and development has not been left behind at all. And this time they have launched a new handle. The non-smart Black 54 Pro can be vaguely felt from the packaging. Feiji seems to have done something very new in handle mechanics. I don't know if this innovation can be impressive. The handle supports SAMO Link as well as PC, NS, Android and iOS. From the appearance, the Flying Black 54 Pro deserves the Best Simplicity Award among its successive products. Even the Black Warrior 3 Pro is a little more colorful than it. However, the overall mold change is not very large. It is in the same vein as the previous Black Knight series. The ZC extension and the phone holder on the top are still persistently preserved. Below the logo are still the two at the bottom of the RGB light bar. Familiar metal contacts are likewise retained. It is used to adapt to non-made charging bases. There are 4 expansion buttons on the back, a mode switch as well as a trigger lock. Students who are more familiar with non-GH 53 Pro may ask, what has changed this time compared with the previous generation? New students may have discovered the mystery. After all, the circle of kowtowing rings outside the joystick is difficult to attract attention. The specific role will be mentioned later. If you give a score to the appearance of the non-Black 54 Pro, how many points do the students feel they can give? In terms of feel, the arrow keys are still the same as before. The highly acclaimed self-developed suspension transfer ripening scheme. This set of arrow keys is currently standard on all non-own handles. In fact, every time I touch it, I want to say a few more words because not only does it feel comfortable, the direction of the press is clear. It can also be seen in the test that the trigger is very accurate. There will be no problem with stringing keys. And the action button is still a group arm, silicone and micro movement. You can clearly feel the wrong. It is done according to the trend of getting softer and softer in terms of the touch of the action button. To verify this feel, here we use professional instruments to test its moving parts. Then the test results were compared with Octopus Domain 3 and 4 and Black 53 Pro. It can be seen that with the order of product releases, the trigger force of the action parts is also getting lighter and lighter. The completion of this time is between the 8 claws 1, 3 and 4. The moving lock scheme adopts the off-time Black Warrior 3 Pro. This generation invented the force-switching moving machine. In linear mode, it is a simple Hall linear mover. When we push the sliding lock on the back up, it magically becomes a non-linear moving machine with a micro-moving feel. Of course, the software level will also automatically become a flying linear flight system. This time, trigger vibration was also added to the trigger. The player can set the option to set any trigger vibration in the Flight Force Space Station. In addition to vibration intensity, even the amplitude can be set by yourself. It is full of actual measurements, and the performance in the gaming experience is still very good. If in terms of feel, T54 Pro integrates many excellent gizmos from past generations, then this new invention is even more heavyweight. When we rotate and shake this thing in the outer ring, when you turn to max, you will clearly feel the thrust of the joystick increase. On the contrary, rotate to the smallest and have the lightest thrust. This is the new upgrade of this time. Lever rocker. Although the scale is given, it only serves as an indicative role. In fact, it is an infinite adjustment force. Compared with the previous Octagon 1/3/4 adjustment alloy joystick, it also requires the player to manually rotate the screw with the paddle. This time it directly omits this step, and the use method is more simplified. And you can clearly observe the maximum minimum value and the force you commonly use. We can try it in IPEX. Fixing the sight sensitivity at this value, then adjust the right stick force for aiming. You can see that when the force is minimal, the situation is as follows. But when we set it to max, it feels much more stable. This experience is quite fresh. In terms of the test of the joystick, it is also the highlight of this time. The Black 54 Pro leaves the factory with the default left and right joysticks. The outer ring is a rounded square polishing scheme, but after connecting to the flying space fan, it will be found that the players can play according to themselves. The coverage of the game mediation stick. Of course, these are already routine operations. The most awesome thing is that, this time, the flight system has made a very big upgrade to the joystick. The first is the resolution and return rate, which players can customize. The rate of return, whether wired or wireless, is the largest. The maximum resolution of 1000 Hz can reach 2000. After actual measurement, it was found that it was a real 2000 level resolution. This performance can be said to be very awesome. After all, this is a Hall joystick, and the accuracy performance is not inferior to the carbon film at all. Of course, if you don't have that high resolution requirements, you can also choose a 150-020-0100 level. In the Space Fan, they are marked from 12 bits to 8 bits. Many students may wonder since there is such a high resolution. So what other reason to choose a low resolution option? Here is a popular science. The lower the resolution of the stick, the less computational it is. We can find it in the test software of the purchasing handle. At low resolution, even the fastest moving stick can lock the smallest step size. Therefore, the overall stability is also higher. In addition to the above, this time the flying spur has also been updated with a very awesome feature. That is the anti-death function. Because many games cannot be adjusted to zero death, it is more uncomfortable for many players who are used to micro-exercises. So the flying speed has added this anti-death function. The player can adjust the depth of the center point to a complex value. To correspond to the depth that comes with the game, it can be said that this function is very novel. It is also very practical. Of course, the outer ring can also be adjusted. Finally, let's disassemble the machine again. In fact, Feichi has always been working and performing well in terms of materials. The battery capacity this time is 800 mAh, although it is not as fierce as Octopus 1.4, but there is no problem with playing for more than 10 hours. Force switch the trigger as before without locking. This is a very standard Hall trigger. After locking, it will trigger a micro movement. This mechanical structure is still very ingenious. There is a trigger motor hidden inside the trigger. The motor is a conventional asymmetrical rotor. The structure of the motor floating shaft D-pad has also been completely inherited. The button below is the touch switch action button. The still silicone plus micro movement, and Feichi also made the silicone part feel like conductive glue. The shoulder and back parts are clearly switched. Now let's focus on the joystick transmission method is the same as that of Octopus 4. Compared with the non-made patented leverage structure, the general piston structure has a very small return deviation, zero death and no drifting. Then it can be seen from the name. The alloy bearings of the Octopus 14 are cancelled on the Black 54 Pro. Other overall views, similar to the force adjustment alloy joystick of the Octopus 14, the joystick is attached to the motherboard by 4 screws and is quite large. But the surprising thing is that this time the joystick did not see the socket. I didn't see the cables, so how did the joystick connect to the motherboard? When we completely disassemble the joystick, you can see that there are electromagnetic contacts like Holben machines on the bottom and on the PCB. Therefore, it can also be said that its principle of action is very similar to that of the Holben aircraft. Let's take a look at this damping adjustment part. Last time it was manually rotated using wave blades. This time I will show you directly. I understand. To put it bluntly, it is the big gear which drives the pinion structure. It's still so ingenious. In general, this time, the Black 54 Pro still has a lot of surprises in terms of workmanship and materials. I thought that this time the joystick was nothing more than the basis of the Octopus bone. Changed the mechanical structure of the damping adjustment. I didn't expect that even the socket or wiring was removed, and it can only be said that it is worthy of flying wings. Fish has always been in terms of creating products. In addition to maintaining a high level, they not only transform and innovate mechanical technology. These innovations don't just lead to some bells and whistles. Instead, we've made improvements that really enhance the user experience. Stick.